Good morning, students. Today we will study Chapter 4 Albert Einstein at School by Patrick Pringle from book Snapshots. Albert Einstein was one of the greatest scientists. He is known for his theory of relativity, but during his school days he was considered a dull student. He did not like his school as the subjects taught there. He considered it useless to study subjects other than those related to science. His history teacher was ever at loggerheads with him. Only the mathematics teacher liked him. Albert became fed up with his school. At last, he devised a plan to remain away from school. With the help of his friend Yuri, he managed to get a fake medical certificate showing that he was suffering from nervous breakdown. At last, the school authorities expelled him from school. Einstein's history teacher asked him in what year the Prussians had defeated the French at Waterloo. He respectfully replied that he did not know. Mr. Braun, the history teacher, further asked him if he ever tried to learn. Einstein told him that he did not see any point in learning dates. One could always look them up in a book. He said that he did not think learning facts was education. He thought it was not facts that mattered but ideas. Mr. Brown's eye grew cold and cruel. He asked Einstein to stay in for an extra period. He called him a disgrace and told him to ask his father to take him away. But Albert knew that his father would ask him to stay until he had taken the diploma. Albert's father had so little money to spare that Albert had to live in a room in one of the poorest quarters in Munich. He did not mind the bad food, lack of comfort, and even the dirt and squirrel, but he hated the slum violence. His friend Yuri told him that at least he had a room of his own. Albert replied that having a room was not at all. The people around should be civilized. He told Yuri that he was living among civilized people. At this, Yuri told him that this was not true. One of the men in his locality was killed in a duel. The one who killed him was upset because the authorities had told him not to fight any more duels in future. He was also grieved over the fact that he hadn't a single scar on his face as a badge of honor. Yuri told him that if such boys could be students, then why he could not be one. Albert's cousin Elsa once came to Munich. He lived in Berlin where her father had a business. She told him she was sure he could learn enough to pass the exams. She knew lots of boys who were more stupid than he was, and they got through the exams. They did not have to know anything, only they were able to repeat it in the exams. Albert said that was the whole trouble. He was not good at learning things by heart. He said interests he had in books on science and music. His landlady called music a wailing and asked him to stop it. He told his friend Yuri that it was absurd that he should go on like this. In the end, it would turn out that he had been wasting his father's money and everyone's time. It would be better for all if he stopped then. But it was this, as he was afraid that his father would send him back. Albert asked Yuri if he knew any friendly doctor. He said he wanted some doctor to declare that he, Albert, had a nervous breakdown and it was bad for him to go to school. He told Yuri to find a doctor who specialized in nerves. The doctor would certainly help him as he had a real nervous breakdown. Yuri suggested to him the name of Dr. Ernest Weil, who had recently qualified as a doctor. Albert might be his first patient. At the same time, he warned him not to try to pull the wool over his eyes. Albert spent the next day wondering what to tell the doctor. When the time arrived for his appointment, he had worried over it so much that he really was quite nervous. Yuri had already given the doctor the history of Albert's case. Albert said that that was the real trouble. Doctor would tell him that nothing was wrong with him and he must go to school. The doctor told Albert that as a matter of fact, he was pretty sure he was in a nervous state about that school. Then the doctor asked him briskly if he certified that he had a nervous breakdown and must stay away from school for a while, what he would do. Albert said that he would go to Italy where his parents were. He would join as Italian college. He had learnt all the maths they taught at school and a bit more. He would ask his mathematics teacher to give him some written opinion about his work. Dr. Wheel thought his stay in the school would not do good to any more and handle him over the certificate. Yuri advised him if the worst come to worst, he could come back and carry on studying for his diploma. But Albert assured him that he would never come back to that place. He would take the certificate to the head teacher the next day. Yuri reminded him to not to forget to get a reference in writing from the mathematics teacher first. Mr. Koch willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. It was a glowing reference, and Mr. Koch made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study for higher mathematics. Albert was summoned to the head teacher's room. The head teacher told Albert, to his surprise, that his work had been terrible and he was not prepared to give him there any longer. He wanted him to leave the school. Einstein asked the head teacher if it was an expulsion. The head teacher replied that if he went of his own accord, the question won't arise. Einstein asked him what crime he had committed. The head teacher told him he refused to learn and what is constant rebellion, and no serious work could be done while he was there. Albert felt medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket. He said that he was going to leave anyway. Without another word, holding his head high, he walked out. He left the school where he had spent 5 miserable years without turning his head to give it a last look. He felt like seeing only Yuri before he left Munich. Elsa was back in Berlin. When he left, Yuri bade him goodbye and wished him good luck.